sure if you know that it was just such much. Hey. Can someone turn the music off?
Yes, bring it on, bring it on.
Maybe not in the after party. And do you know that we had just such little was that we wouldn't have the person who would took part in the quarter final, which includes our district.
Woohoo!
It was such little that he wouldn't take part. He came here during the pandemic time to our continent, to Finland, and he didn't know if he would be able to pass the border. But he's with us. He's with us, and he won the club area, division, district, and the quarterfinal. So this is him, John Lund. He will tell us how did he do it. So, John.
This is the hardest keynote speech ever. That was brutal. I don't know who came up with that. Before we get started, just a quick show of hands. Is there anybody here who is not a member of Toastmasters, not a current member? These hands. Okay. Is there anybody here who is a VP of memberships within Toastmasters? Okay, all right. Take note, you guys can hit some numbers here. There are some targets, so just focus. Okay. Why did you join Toastmasters? I think we all have our own unique reasons. And all of these reasons are absolutely excellent. So I personally joined Toastmasters in September of 2022. And I joined specifically because I was interested in learning more about speech writing. So I knew nothing about contests. I knew nothing about the World Championships in public speaking. I didn't know about all the cool ribbons that we can get in Toastmasters. This was all totally new. All I knew was that it was a place where people go to give speeches. I was interested in becoming a better speechwriter, so I found a club. I found Tampere Toastmasters. I showed up, said, "Hi, I'm John Lund. I want to learn about speechwriting. Take my money." And I joined, and it was really that simple. So, my name is John Lund, and as some of you know, I competed in the World Championships of Public Speaking this past year in Nassau. And I was asked to come here and just talk a little bit about that journey and what it meant to me. And hopefully through sharing this journey with all of you, I can help you realize some of those dreams that you set out to achieve when you joined Toastmasters. And maybe we can get some new members here today, yes? Yes! So to start the story, I'm going to start at the very beginning. So I joined Tampere Toastmasters in September of 2022. I walked in, did a table topics, even though I had no idea what that was. And Mina, the club president at the time, said, "Hey, like in a couple of weeks, there's this area contest. You should be our club contestant." All right, I don't really know what that means, but about speeches, I'm sure it will be fine. So I show up in Helsinki for the area contest. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm standing backstage in like this soundproof area, right? Like people are filing in and out. There's a sergeant at arms, and I'm like, okay, this is weird. And I get filed into the room. The contest master is standing there dressed like Count Dracula because it's Halloween season. So there's like a cape and all this crazy stuff. Looks me dead in the eye and says, "There is winning, there is learning, there is no such thing as losing. There's winning, there is learning. There is no such thing as losing. And I'm like, hey, isn't this supposed to be a question? What's going on here? So I have to pivot really fast, like everybody did today, all these table topics contestants, bless your hearts, my God. And I started thinking back on my 25 years of experience as an athlete. And I'm like, what's the worst thing that ever happened to me that I can talk about that involves winning, learning, and not losing? I'm standing there on stage and kind of panicked a bit. I'm like, all right, let's see how this goes. So, it is September of 2021, only a year earlier. And I'm in the US. I'm getting ready for the North American Wife-Carrying Championships. And the Finns know what that is. The Finnish word is ajokankanto. Right? This is a man carrying a woman over an obstacle course. You're running. The prize is the woman's weight in beer. So this is less than 1 week before the race. And I'm going over, I jump over a hurdle in my practice session. Like, yeah, I'm killing it. My foot hits, I hear a pop, and I crash to the ground. I'd ruptured my Achilles tendon. My hope of winning the race, gone. Just like that. So luckily my wife was there, Stephanie. She came over, helped me out. Right? There is winning, there's learning, there's no such thing as losing. The first thing I learned was that I'm not Superman. Who knew? The second thing I learned was that when you rupture your Achilles tendon, you can't drive yourself to the hospital because your foot simply doesn't work. So Stephanie drove me to the hospital. But most importantly, what I learned over that next year was that I am absolutely blessed to have such an amazing real-life boy. And that was essentially my table topics answer. And somehow that got me through to the next round. And then I eventually competed at the district level, where I bombed horribly. That's a different story. The point is that I really enjoyed this whole competition process. And when the springtime came, and there was the opportunity to compete in the international speech contest, I was like, yeah, I want some of that. Let's do it. So I started prepping my speech, and I was so proud of my speech. Right? Our club decided that we were going to hold a club contest. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let me test this puppy out. So other club members are there, and we hold this formal club contest, and I go up on stage, and I'm like, yeah, all right. I know this is the great speech. I know this is the best speech in the world. And I let it rip. I let it rip. And I bombed. Oh my God, it was so bad. Gregory was there, Stephanie was there, Mina, the former club president, was there. A lot of you know her. And it was terrible. Like, the audience was just sitting there looking at me with these blank faces. Like, yeah, best speech in the world. and then I got some pity claps. You know those pity claps? And you're like,
yeah.
I just held my club hostage, like with 7 minutes of verbal abuse. And I got the pity clap just to get me off stage. Okay? So I had a bit of luck. Right? The luck was that nobody else in my club wanted to go to the area contest in a week. So I was nominated. But what is the motto here? There's winning, there's learning, there's no such thing as losing, right? And what did I learn from that speech? I probably didn't write the best speech in the world. So I had to spend that next week in like super athletic competitive overdrive making a new speech for the area contest. And oddly enough, I wrote the speech about how I deal with my ego and battling my ego. And I showed up at the area contest, and somehow that speech did well, and it carried me all the way to the semifinals in Nassau this past August. So when I learned that I was going to Nassau, like, my competitive inner athlete really kicked in. 25 years of athletic experience. Okay, like, we're putting together a training regimen. We are going to do this. Every single day for 3 months, I worked on my speeches. There are 2 speeches. You have to do a semifinal speech and then a brand new grand final speech. Everything in my life was about these 2 speeches. I came home from work every day, 4 hours in the evening. Saturdays and Sundays, 12-hour days. I would sit there and type, I would rehearse, I would read, I would hold Stephanie hostage. Hey Stephanie, what do you think of this word or that one? Right? I don't know how many times you heard that, but that was the process. And then I show up in Nassau, and I'm just laser focused. Like, I can't wait to get out there on stage. And I'm playing the odds in my head. So there are 7 contestants in each of these semifinals. The top 2 advance to the final. Okay, 2 out of 7, 28.6. Yeah, 28.6% chance, just based on random odds. Factor in that I am Superman. Whoa, I am absolutely going to the final. Then we draw the numbers. I'm number 1. Like, yeah, of course I'm number 1. What else would I be? As I'm getting ready to go into that, the hall before the speech, I noticed outside the hall, you were there, you saw this, there was like some abstract art of a man carrying a woman. And I was like, wife carrying. It's a sign. It's a sign from the gods. This is my destiny. So I go out there on stage, I go up, I'm number 1. Bam! I just hit my speech. I was the first Finn to ever, the first Finn to ever compete at the World Championship stage. And I'm like, yeah, I just made Finland so proud. Like, I'm better than Kimi Räikkönen. Like, God, on stage. I just have to kick back, just wait for the chief judge to announce that I'm going to the grand final. And yeah, you know, hey, it's margaritas, it's Bahamas, let's do this. So I'm sitting there, chief judge comes out, we get the results. Man, I sure do feel sorry for that guy who had to go after me. Number 2. Man, imagine trying to follow this. Chief Judge, the first contestant who will be announced going to the grand final is number 2. It's kind of weird. Like, all right, well, you know, maybe they're just calling the numbers out of order. It must be something like that. So I'm sitting there and like, all right, hey, don't worry, Steph. You know, we're going to take care of this on Saturday. Going to the World Championships. The next contestant who is going to the grand final is contestant number 5. Steph, what'd I say? Number 5. Yeah. Pretty sure I was number 1, right? So I did not go to the grand final. There's winning. There is learning. There is no such thing as losing. I have to admit, in that moment, I lost something. I lost my cool. I did not handle it well. Like, we stormed out of there. We went back to the hotel room, and I was crushed. Right? I had put so much time and energy and effort into this, and you know, I was so proud to be there. I was so proud to represent. Tampere Toastmasters in District 108, you know, especially because I kind of got there by accident, you know, with this. I felt like I had to, you know, kind of like redeem myself in some way for my club. And I was a loser. I was a complete loser and a failure. And we're up in the hotel room, and I'm sitting there on the bed, just like sulking and crushed. Stephanie comes over, and she's like, that was so good. I'm so proud of you. And I'm thinking to myself, I lost. How can anybody be proud of me? And then I started remembering the lessons that I had learned. The first lesson that hit me square in the gut in that moment was that I'm absolutely blessed with such outstanding, special life. The next lesson I was reminded of is that I'm not Superman. Who knew? Then I started thinking about what a loser I am and how I didn't achieve my goal. It was my ego telling me that. But then I started to question my ego. Did I really not achieve my goal? Thinking back 11 months earlier, the reason why I joined Toastmasters was to become a better speechwriter. I didn't join Toastmasters to win a plastic trophy or get a ribbon or a piece of paper or whatever. I simply wanted to become a better speechwriter. And over the course of those 10 months in preparation for that big contest at the end, I had achieved that. Toastmasters actually gave that to me in less than 10 months. I got exactly what I asked for. So I was not a loser. And thinking about it as a loser, that's like asking the universe for a bag of money. Okay? A bag of money is like delivered to your lap. You open it up, it's full of 20s, right? Some nice hard cold cash. And then you look up and you're like, what, no 50s? like that was literally what I had done. That 11 months of preparation for the World Championships was awesome. I loved it. I developed as a writer. I spent hundreds of hours, in my sweatpants, sitting at my kitchen table, typing, reading, rehearsing, and it was such a great experience. I was so happy to be part of that. The irony is that the lesson that I learned was about my ego, which was how this whole contest thing started. I was there giving a speech about how I battled my ego and won, and then I lost a contest that I didn't really care about that much, and my ego was crushed. Like, how does that even make sense? But the point is that Toastmasters gave me exactly what I asked for. My club gave me an outstanding opportunity, the district gave me a great opportunity, and I developed the skill that I wanted to develop over that period. There was winning, there was learning, there was no such thing as losing. So for those of us who have ever felt like a loser because we weren't crowned the winner, and for those of us who simply didn't understand what was presented to them in that moment, and for those who competed today, stop and think about what it is that actually brought you here in the first place. Did you get some of that? How many people really came here for a trophy or a piece of paper? I think it's very few. So on behalf of all of the contestants who came up on this stage today and risked everything, risked their pride, risked their ego, and risked their self-esteem potentially, I'd like everybody in the room to please say that mantra with me. Ready?
Yeah.
There is winning.
There is winning.
There is learning.